I'm Ken Napzok, and here's a look at some of the stories making the world spin this week, with Israeli strikes on Lebanon and the city of Rafah happening despite all of their drinking buddies like the United States telling them not to. We turn our news eyes to the ongoing shit show of American politics and the discourse around it, which, quite frankly, includes gas bags like me. Scorned, embarrassed, and determined to create a core campaign issue for God's other chosen son, Donald Trump, the Republicans in the House and Senate set out to right their wrongs from last week, which was called a clown show by even the most thoughtful and eloquent of political analysts in the land. First up, the Republicans in the House tried again to impeach Homeland Security Director Alejandro Mayorkas a second time, and like most of their second marriages, it worked. For now. Leaning heavily on their thin majority rule, Republican representatives won a 214 to 213 vote, with 3 Republicans voting with Democrats and 2 representatives from each party not voting, which I still think should not be allowed. We voted you into office to literally vote on things for us. Last week, Representative Al Green showed up at a hospital gown to vote. Hell, even Grandma Bobo once ran in late, still drunk, nursing an aching wrist to try to make a vote. I'm okay with the kid at the McDonald's half-assing putting my 2-cheeseburger meal in the bag because he's underpaid and the American dream has vanished like corporations and their tax payments. But Democrat, Republican, Independent, Bull Moose Party, don't care. Show up and vote. As for the impeachment itself, it will surely die in the Senate like my dreams of playing pro baseball did in the early 90s, but it should be considered a win for the Republicans. Why? Am I both citing this like a cable comedy show host? No, it's reality. Republicans are essentially impeaching Mayorkas because they disagree with his policies and approach. It's literally cancel culture in action, the ones those right-wing culture warriors claim to be fighting against. They claim that the Biden cabinet member showed a willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law. They called it a breach of trust. Nothing criminal, nothing illegal, nothing showing he sides with the Confederates during the Civil War, nothing about cigars going where cigars shouldn't while in the White House, and certainly nothing like trying to pressure a foreign leader to give up information on his election opponent. They just don't like what he was doing. And why is that a win? Because despite many people, including Republican politicians, seeing this for what this is, a political stunt, a sham, and working toward giving Trump a big issue to run on, so many people are just going to see the headline, connect it with the other border crisis headlines, and think, yep, good job. It's an optics win. And when the impeachment doesn't actually happen, because it won't, it will look like those dirty, free border-loving liberals are the ones playing games. It's as genius as it is maddening. But these political games are going to be harder to pull off with the Republicans, and yes, I know Democrats love playing games too. This because the majority rule in the House just got even tighter as the race to replace the seat that once belonged to the untalented Mr. Ripley of Congress, George Santos, ended with a flip. Democrat Tom Suozzi defeated Republican Massey Phillip in New York's 3rd District special election. He should be sworn in by the time Congress returns to session post-President's Day, and that means House Republicans can only lose 2 votes to Utah from their own party going forward. The election is being viewed as a possible harbinger of things to come, with the centrist Democrat flipping a district that went red after Biden's 8-point margin of victory there in 2020. But Republicans point out that the district was Biden country in 2020. Dems outspent the GOP 2-1 in this election, and Phillip was a Republican that didn't endorse Trump. And many red hat wearing fools, including Truth Social's #1 poster, believe that's how you lose these elections. Go against what Green Day once famously called the MAGA agenda. Which side is correct? Well, like the old ABC Monday Night Football segment, you make the call this November, except this election is not sponsored by Schick Racers, at least yet. It was another week of a game of foreign aid and border funding hot potato, and I'll be honest, it's all confusing and frustrating. I make a point to dig in, watch videos, read articles, and at least have some understanding of anything I'm about to poke fun at. But at this point, this Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, humanitarian, and U.S. southern border funding story has turned into the Abbott and Costello Who's On First act. The Republicans wanted funding for the U.S. southern border to help stop what they call a border crisis there. Democrats agreed to that in large part because they want to send more money from our rather large military budgets to those aforementioned countries as a small investment to help keep our troops out of actual wars. The proposed border security deal was called one of the more conservative deals ever. The Republicans turned it down after Donald Trump started panicking that he wouldn't have anything to blame Biden for in this election cycle, so that deal was tanked. Yet Republicans are acting like we all just didn't watch them sink the deal they asked for. And then, just this week, the Senate passed a $95 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel, our Indo-Pacific allies, which includes $9 billion for humanitarian aid to Palestinians and Ukrainians. 22 Republican senators voted for the bill. Even Mitch McConnell unfroze long enough to vote for it. Okay, That joke was mean, maybe. All right, maybe it was mean. Sorry. Tell you what, Biden's really old and loves tasty treats. We learned that this week. There, we're even. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has threatened to not put that bill before Congress, in large part because the bill does not address the U.S. southern border concerns. I say southern border because no one listens to my concerns about Canadians sneaking in through Vancouver to party in downtown Seattle. The bill, of course, doesn't include that requested border funding because the Republicans asked for it to be separated from the foreign aid. So Republicans are looking to block the bill they asked for at the start of all of this. Folks, I think I'm about to have a stroke. 90% because of this journey through the bill, and 10% because I made fun of Mitch. Well, we'll try to keep you updated on the story. Perhaps Tucker Carlson can ask Putin about it next time he interviews him. And finally, in a sad story developing as I wrote this, at least one person is dead and 14 people injured in a shooting at a parade to celebrate Kansas City's Super Bowl win. But more people will be producing think pieces on Travis Kelce yelling and accidentally pushing his 65-year-old hip replacement having head coach on the sidelines than ones about another high-profile incident of gun violence in America. No one should be defending Travis on the incident. Taylor's man later called it unacceptable himself, but no one should be spending too much time on it either. I've been more violently angry trying to open up cartons of ice cream after they've been in the freezer too long. My thoughts, and you know what? Screw it. Even my prayers go out to the victims in another example of our country's issues with gun access, mental health, affordable health care, and the inability to change it all. Comment below to solve the problem. I'm Ken Napzok for Anytime, and that was the news.